15 years before these events, two young children after a shipwreck find themselves on an uninhabited island in the South Pacific Ocean. A boy and a girl grow up together in paradise absolutely alone. As adults, they fell in love with each other and soon they have a son. By the will of fate, they leave the island, going to the open sea. After a while, a boat drifting in the sea is noticed by passing ships, but by this time the child's parents were already dead. The boy is taken for upbringing by Sarah Hargrave, who at that time remained a widow with a little daughter Lilli. Soon, a cholera epidemic begins on the ship, and people begin to die one by one. The captain of the ship understands that no port will accept them with such an illness, and decides to put a woman with two children in a boat and send them on a free voyage so that they have a chance to escape from cholera. Mr. Kearney goes with them to help them get to shore. However, the man is more concerned about himself, realizing that they can swim indefinitely and they need to survive.
It is better to rid the kids of them as soon as possible.
Just touch it, try it.
After he refuses to give water to the children as a saving and offers to throw them overboard, Mrs. Hargrave, taking advantage of an opportunity, kills him and throws him into the sea. After some time, the boat washes up to the island, the boy begins to say home and call mom and dad. After that, Sarah realizes that this is the very place where Richard was born. His parents sailed away from this place in search of salvation. An abundance of fruits, fish and excellent living conditions allow Sarah to carelessly raise children on a desert island. The only danger on the island was its northern part, where savages sailed every full moon to perform a bloody rite of sacrifice. Years pass, the children grow up and Sarah brings them up as civilized people, hoping that one day a ship will come and take them to San Francisco. Children have questions about the differences between the male and female bodies, about marriage, and Sarah tells them about the changes in the body that await them in the process of growing up, about where children come from and why marriage is needed.
I don't want to bleed out. Just a few days.
One day, the children go fishing on a boat, but at some point the boat detaches and swims away, leaving the children on the rocks in the company of a shark that lived in the same lagoon. After sitting in a trap until dark, Richard comes up with a way to distract the shark with a fish caught, and together with Lilli they swim to the boat, almost hitting the teeth of a bloodthirsty predator. A storm is coming to the island and a downpour breaks through the roof of the hut. Sarah is waiting for the roof to be repaired, but she gets a bad cold and realizes that a simple cold has turned into pneumonia, which will lead her to imminent death. Sarah explains to the already strong and independent children that they will have to continue to live without her, and shows where and how she will need to be buried. Richard and Lilli grow up into teenagers. They continue to observe the traditions that their mother taught them and celebrate Easter, in the form of a game, hiding painted eggs around the island. Richard adds conditions to this fun by saying that whoever finds more eggs will get a prize. At the end of the game, Lilli thinks she has won, although Richard succumbs to her by hiding one of the eggs found. Lilli asks for her prize, and Richard pulls a pearl from the seabed. The girl is very happy to receive such a gift, and makes hair ornaments out of it. A guy and a girl behave like typical teenagers. Richard competes with a shark and brags to the girl about his victories with a dangerous predator. Lilli is looking at herself in the mirror, studying the changes in her body, and the guy is spying on her at this time. After a while, their relationship changes, and it's not at all the same as it was in childhood, and Richard begins to miss these times. Teenagers feel attracted to each other without realizing what it means. A girl becomes a woman and shares it with a guy. Richard's body is also undergoing changes.
What's the matter with him?
Nothing.
Does it probably hurt?
You can't. It's funny to watch a girl laughing at a guy, wondering what's going on. A little later, Richard's youthful maximalism is gaining momentum, and after quarreling with Lilli, he decides to go to the northern part of the island, although this was forbidden by the rules established by their mother. In a forbidden place, he finds skeletons and skulls of people. By this time, a tribe of savages arrives on the island to perform another rite. Richard hides not far from the natives and smears himself with mud to be less noticeable. At the end, he runs out with a spear at the last remaining savage, but does not kill him, and they part, smiling at each other. The guy returns to Lilli, who is scared and worried about him, and tells about everything he saw while washing off the mud in the sea. Lilli talks about her experiences and asks him never to quarrel again. They start kissing in the sunset, and Richard says that he wants them to merge to become husband and wife. Lovers arrange a wedding, exchanging an oath and homemade rings, and enjoy each other now in the role of husband and wife.
Together.
Forever. One day, Lilli notices a white sailboat, and Richard rushes to light a signal fire, but frightened, they stop and start watching the approaching boat. Seeing a woman in a boat in the company of men, they come out to meet them. Captain Jacob Hiller and his crew, to put it mildly, were very surprised to find civilized people on a desert island. The captain says that this is a god-forsaken place that navigators always avoid because of its unfortunate location. However, this time they could not pass by, because they ran out of water supplies, and they had to moor to the island. The men from the ship devour the half-naked young Lilli with their eyes, and the captain introduces them to his daughter Sylvia, who immediately falls for Richard. Lilli's and Richard invite the captain and his crew to dinner, where they talk about how they got to the island and about their way of life on it. One of the seasoned sailors Kinlan notices in the Lilli's hair ornaments with a pearl scene. A little later, as gifts, Lilia will give Richard clothes, and Sylvia shares with the girl items for feminine care. The captain's daughter tries in every way to attract Richard's attention, and in the evening she offers to have fun and dance. But when she sees Lilli and Richard dancing, she calls it a children's dance. Having started dancing lessons with Richard, Sylvia offends Lilli, and she runs away from the middle of the lesson. Before going to bed, Richard tells Lilli that he is attracted to Sylvia. He's so interested in her because he can't see her without her clothes on. I'm curious what she looks like under her clothes. In the morning, Lilli decides to put on makeup like Sylvia in order to regain Richard's interests, but she gets war paint, and Richard sends her to wash, while he goes to teach Sylvia fishing. While fishing, the captain's daughter tries to seduce a guy, but she does not succeed. Richard tells the captain's daughter that he does not want to offend Lilli's. Meanwhile, Quinlan lies in wait for the girl. He grabs Lilia and tells her to tell him where the pearl is. Having received what he wanted, Quinlan does not stop and decides to take advantage of her beautiful young body. Lilli starts screaming and asks him to let her go. Richard, who escaped from fishing, returns just in time, but the strength of the young man is inferior to the strength of a seasoned sailor. Richard manages to snatch the gun from him, but the sailor notices that the young man does not understand how to shoot it. During the struggle, Quinlan wounds Richard in the arm with a rifle. The members of Captain Hillard's team, who came to the rescue, break up the fighting, but an enraged Quinlan says to let him go. He wants to kill the kid. Richard runs away and Quinlan starts after him, shooting at him with a rifle, but never hits him. Richard lures the sailor instead of the shark's habitat, exactly as he had previously done with the fish he caught, where a little later the predator deals with the sailor, and the guy returns to Lilli. Richard tells us that Captain Hilliard's ship will sail at sunset. The girl says she wants to stay. She tells Richard that she is carrying a baby. The guy does not believe her and asks how she knows this, to which Lilli replies that a woman always feels this. Lilli says she doesn't want the baby to be born there, in a hectic world. She wants to raise the baby here, where there is no deception, temptation, lies and rifles. Richard fully supports his beloved Lilli and together they watch the departing ship, while remaining on the island. In the last moment of the film, we see how a beautiful baby was born. Lilli and Richard return to their usual way of life on the island. That's all for today. Subscribe and like if you want more of these videos.